A man stopped by my Instagram page the other day and insulted me, calling me a talentless actor who doesn't belong in the same movies as the greats. It was a strange moment, random, disrespectful, but in light of recent news, it pales in comparison. Just minutes ago, ABC News anchor David Muir reported that Clifton Powell, once the celebrated CEO of Powell Industries, has officially received his sentence. This marks a dramatic turning point in the life of a man once revered in the business world for building a billion-dollar company from scratch. Now he faces not only legal consequences, but also the unraveling of everything he worked for, his business, his legacy, and much of the public trust he had earned over decades. Clifton Powell's story began in the gritty streets of southeast Chicago. Life there wasn't easy. He was raised in a tough neighborhood where crime, poverty, and broken homes were common. When he was just 6 years old, his father lost his job at the local steel mill, throwing the family into deep financial struggle. His mother worked multiple jobs to keep food on the table, and young Clifton had to grow up fast. Without guidance, many kids from his neighborhood ended up on dangerous paths: jail, gangs, or addiction. Clifton often spoke about the environment he grew up in, where survival was never guaranteed and every day brought new challenges. He was a quiet, observant child who learned early that strength came not from loud words, but from consistency and resolve. What set him apart was the people who stepped in when he needed them most. One of those was Mr. Franklin, his high school math teacher. Mr. Franklin recognized Clifton's talent with numbers and encouraged him to believe he could do more with his life. He would often stay after school to tutor Clifton, pushing him beyond what the curriculum required. His grandmother also played a critical role in keeping him focused on education. She used to tell him, "You might not have much, but you've got your mind, and no one can take that from you." Clifton often credited the local community center for keeping him off the streets. "If I didn't have that place to go every afternoon, I probably wouldn't be sitting here. I'd probably be locked up somewhere," he once said in a university lecture. These influences gave him the structure and belief system that helped him rise above the chaos around him. As a kid, Clifton never imagined becoming a CEO. His dream was to be an engineer. He would take apart old radios, rebuild bicycle gears, and spend hours reading manuals from the library just to understand how things worked. But life took an unexpected turn at Michigan State University when he entered a business competition just to see what might happen. Encouraged by a professor who saw potential in him, Clifton took the challenge seriously. He built a pitch for a digital logistics company and stunned the judges by not only winning but presenting a plan that could actually work in the real world. That moment opened new doors. His professors connected him with investors. His classmates became collaborators. Suddenly, engineering was no longer the goal. Building a company became the mission. After graduating, he launched his first tech startup in 1994 with nothing but a laptop, a small loan from a mentor, and a rented desk in a shared office space. While many of his peers were partying and celebrating small wins, Clifton was refining business models and working long hours to secure funding. He faced multiple rejections, often being the only black entrepreneur in the room, pitching ideas to skeptical investors. But he stayed focused. That work ethic laid the foundation for what would eventually become Powell Industries, a company built on transparency, innovation, and bold thinking. Success didn't come overnight, but when it did, it came big. In 2008, Powell Industries won a massive government contract thanks to its cutting-edge technology that streamlined infrastructure logistics. That contract put Clifton in the spotlight and landed his company squarely on Wall Street's radar. His reputation soared. Known for his passion, discipline, and vision, Clifton impressed everyone from employees to investors. He was invited to speak at the World Economic Forum, he rang the bell at the New York Stock Exchange, and magazines called him the face of the future. He often said he built companies that created long-term value, not just quick profits. Business students today still quote some of his speeches. He had a commanding presence and a belief in what he was building, and for a while it seemed like nothing could slow him down. But as his fame grew, so did the pressure. Clifton started facing the downsides of success, the constant demands, the fake friendships, the personal sacrifices. He was married to his wife Catherine for over 15 years, which is rare in the high-stakes world of business. They had 2 kids together, and by all appearances, seemed to be a model power couple. But eventually, even that bond couldn't survive the weight of his career. "I spent too much time away from home. I didn't save enough emotional energy. For my kids," he admitted in an interview with Forbes, he got caught up in the lifestyle: luxury travel, designer suits, constant media appearances, and a growing addiction to the adrenaline of closing deals. When the marriage ended, Clifton was devastated. He called it one of the lowest points in his life. He began making risky business moves, expanding too quickly, taking on massive debt, and trying to maintain an image of infallibility. Outwardly, he still looked successful. In reality, he was spiraling. In May 2021, everything came crashing down. The Securities and Exchange Commission launched a formal investigation into Powell Industries after internal whistleblowers alleged serious financial misconduct. The claim was that Powell had inflated revenues and hidden company losses for 3 years while collecting large personal bonuses. They accused him of manipulating accounting data to meet investor expectations during periods of decline. The Ginala Street Journal broke the story, and public opinion quickly turned against him. Powell, through his attorney, strongly denied all accusations. "I would never intentionally mislead investors," he said at a press conference. "This has been the worst time in my life. Someone accused me of betraying everything I've built." The emotional toll was massive. Powell said the ordeal reminded him of losing his mother. It shook him to his core. He lost business deals, former allies distanced themselves, and his once pristine reputation took a massive hit. Some investors walked away without giving him a chance to explain. One deal, which he believed would bring in millions and fund a new initiative for urban development, vanished after a second meeting. "They didn't even wait for the facts, they just made up their minds," he said. The public perception of guilt, even without a conviction at the time, became a sentence all on its own. 3 years after the allegations first surfaced, Powell began to push back publicly. In interviews, he clarified what had happened and questioned how quickly people rushed to judgment. He maintained that there was no criminal intent and that the mistakes were accounting decisions made in crisis, not deliberate fraud. While he welcomed the support from his family and remaining business partners, he acknowledged how deeply the accusations had damaged his name. "I've lost business, I've lost respect, and I'm working every day to try and restore what I can," he said. What hurt the most, he explained, was being judged by people who didn't know him and didn't care to understand the complexities of what had happened. Strangers would confront him with harsh words. "A guy told me, 'I don't trust you. You steal from investors,'" Powell recounted. "He'd never met me. He didn't know me. He just read some headlines and decided I was guilty." Clifton explained how the public often confuses tough business decisions with moral failure. "People don't see what it takes to run a company these days. They just react to stories," he said. He described how lonely it felt to go from celebrated CEO to societal outcast almost overnight. Even now, Powell refuses to give up. Though his career has taken a massive hit and his reputation may never fully recover, he remains committed to setting the record straight and finding a way forward. He started mentoring young entrepreneurs again. He's funding new startups from underrepresented communities and offering insight on how to avoid the traps that nearly destroyed him. Whether or not the world gives him another chance remains to be seen. But for Powell, this isn't just a fight for his name. It's a fight against a culture that too often judges before it understands. And maybe, just maybe, it's a chance to write the second act of a life that still has more to say.